The ocean is a world of rigid, unforgiving rules. And for as long as we have been capable of observing the deep blue, the orca is the one that has written them. They are more than just animals. They are the ocean's apex glitch, a 6-ton tactical genius that fears absolutely nothing. We have seen them dismantling great white sharks with surgical precision just to harvest their livers. We have watched them coordinate in massive pods to take down blue whales, the largest biological machines to ever exist on this planet, through sheer, cold-blooded brilliance. In every ocean, from the ice-choked channels of the Antarctic to the tropical reefs of the Pacific, the orca is the undisputed king of the void. They don't just hunt, they dominate. They don't just survive, and they dictate the terms of existence for everything else that breathes underwater. But in the freezing, slate-gray corridors of the North Atlantic, the king has been caught doing something that should be physically and psychologically impossible. The king was caught running away. It wasn't a larger whale that caused the panic. It wasn't a prehistoric survivor rising from the unexplored trenches of the abyss. It wasn't a kraken or a monster from our nightmares. It was something that, on paper, shouldn't even be a minor inconvenience to a killer whale. The pilot whale. To the untrained human eye, a pilot whale looks like an oversized, somewhat bulbous dolphin. They are smaller than orcas, they are slower, and they lack the raw, bone-crushing power of a killer whale's jaw. They don't have the celebrity status of the great white, nor the intimidating silhouette of a shark. But in the deep sea, physical strength is a secondary currency. The true weapon of the abyss isn't teeth or muscle, it's information. The orca is a master of acoustic dominance. They have spent millions of years perfecting the art of echolocation, using sound like a high-resolution scalpel to see through the darkness, to coordinate their strikes, and to paralyze their prey with fear. Their entire world is built on the clarity of sound. But the pilot whale has discovered the ultimate countermeasure. The pilot whale doesn't use sound like a scalpel. They use it like a riot. When these two species meet in the open ocean, the hierarchy of the world is instantly inverted. Instead of fleeing or hiding, the standard response for almost every other creature in the sea, the pilot whales do the unthinkable. They gather. They don't just swim toward the orcas. They charge them in massive, high-speed swarms that can number in the hundreds. And as they close the distance, they begin an acoustic assault that defies everything we thought we knew about marine behavior. They scream. They produce a wall of high-intensity, chaotic, and overlapping noise that is so powerful it effectively blinds the orca's sonar. In the pitch-black silence of the deep, an orca without its sonar is a king without eyes. It is the biological equivalent of a flashbang grenade being detonated in a dark room. But it's even deeper than just noise. It's about the distortion of reality. For an orca, one sound is how it perceives its own body in relation to the world. When a pilot whale pod engages, they aren't just making noise, they are weaponizing physics. They create a sound shadow that makes it impossible for the orca to distinguish between a single whale and 100 threats. The predator suddenly finds itself in a hall of mirrors, surrounded by invisible phantoms that are shrieking at a volume that physically hurts. Imagine being a predator that thrives on total calculation and absolute control. You are used to being the smartest being in the room. You rely entirely on your internal radar to navigate a world where light doesn't exist. And suddenly, the lights are turned off and replaced with a deafening, shrieking siren that never stops, coming from every direction at once. When the orca suddenly finds itself in a state of total sensory overload, the predator becomes the disoriented, the hunter becomes the confused. But why would a pilot whale, a creature that is technically prey, spend so much energy attacking the most dangerous animal on Earth? To answer that, we have to look at the terrifying sociology of the blackfish. Pilot whales are one of the few species on this planet with a social structure that is arguably more complex, more rigid, and more loyal than that of the orca. They don't just live in families, they live in unbreakable multi-generational tribes. While an orca pod is a tactical unit, often separating to hunt or explore, a pilot whale school is a collective mind. Their bonds are so extreme that they have been known to strand themselves on beaches in mass numbers just to stay with a single sick individual. They do not leave anyone behind, ever. When an orca enters the territory of a pilot whale pod, it isn't just threatening an individual, it is threatening a culture. And the pilot whale's response is a form of total war. Scientists have observed that pilot whales don't just defend themselves, they engage in what is known as mobbing. It is a proactive, aggressive strategy designed to remove a threat before it can even act. They aren't trying to eat the orca, they aren't trying to win a fight of strength. They are engaging in a form of psychological warfare that has been refined over thousands of generations. But there's a darker, more tactical side to this relationship. Pilot whales appear to shadow orcas. They have been recorded picking up the specific acoustic signatures of hunting orcas from miles away. Instead of swimming in the opposite direction, the pilot whales accelerate toward the sound. They are the only animals in the ocean that actively hunt the hunter. They will follow pods of killer whales for hundreds of miles. They will stay on their tails for days, never letting the orcas hunt, never letting them communicate, and never letting them find a single moment of silence. It is a siege, a relentless, grinding harassment that drains the orca's energy and breaks their spirit. Think about the psychological toll on the orca. These are animals that value their culture and their safety. An orca is expensive for nature to build. They mature slowly, they reproduce infrequently, and they carry a massive amount of learned knowledge. They cannot afford to get injured. They cannot afford a fair fight. And the pilot whale knows this. By making every encounter a chaotic, high-risk mess, the pilot whale forces the orca into a corner. Eventually, the risk isn't worth the reward. The orca is a creature of high-stakes efficiency. They are math-based killers. They calculate the caloric intake of a kill versus the energy spent to get it. And the pilot whale has made the cost of staying in the area too high. There is a specific recorded incident off the coast of Iceland that changed our understanding of this relationship forever. A pod of orcas was observed in the middle of a hunt, closing in on a group of herring. It was a textbook operation, but then from over the horizon, a massive group of pilot whales appeared. They weren't just passing through, they were intercepting. As soon as the orcas detected the pilot whales, their behavior changed instantly. The most feared hunters in the North Atlantic stopped their hunt. They abandoned their food. They began to swim away at maximum speed, their acoustic signatures showing clear signs of distress. The pilot whales didn't stop. They pursued them, matching their speed, flanking them, and continuing their wall of sound until the orcas were driven far out into the open sea, away from the rich hunting grounds. The king didn't just step aside. The king was evicted. But why is this happening now? Why are we seeing more of these ocean wars? The answer might lie in the shifting climate. As the oceans change, as temperatures rise and traditional prey species move to different latitudes, these two titans are meeting more often. The acoustic wars of the North Atlantic are intensifying. We are starting to see orcas trying to adapt, attempting new silent hunting techniques to avoid the pilot whale's detection. But for every move the orca makes, the pilot whale seems to have a counter-move. It is an evolutionary arms race where the weapon isn't a claw or a tooth, but a frequency. The pilot whale has exploited a loophole in the orca's perfection. By turning the orca's greatest strength, its intelligence and its reliance on sound, against it, the pilot whale has carved out a space where it is untouchable. They have proven that coordination can overcome power and that chaos can overcome calculation. It is a terrifying thought, that even the most optimized predator on the planet has a breaking point, that even the orca can be bullied. And this raises an even deeper question. What else is out there that we haven't seen? We have spent centuries looking at the ocean as a world of predators and prey, of winners and losers. But the pilot whale proves that there is a third category, the saboteur. The animal that doesn't follow the food chain, but actively breaks it. The pilot whale isn't just a dolphin, it is a ghost in the machine. It is the only creature that has looked the king of the ocean in the eye and refused to blink. When you stand on the shore and look out at the vast flat surface of the ocean, it looks peaceful. It looks like a world of silence. But beneath that surface, there is a cacophony of war. There are battles being fought that we are only just beginning to hear. More, there are hierarchies being torn down by creatures we once thought were harmless. The orca will always be the king of the blue void in our eyes. They will always be the symbol of marine power. But the next time you see a video of an orca breaching, or a pod of killer whales moving with that terrifying, rhythmic grace, remember that even they have a nightmare. And that nightmare doesn't have a giant jaw. It doesn't have a dorsal fin that cuts through the water like a knife. It is a shadow in the dark that knows how to break the silence. It is a creature that knows that if you scream loud enough, even the most powerful king in the world will have no choice but to run. The abyss is full of monsters, but the most successful ones are the ones who realize that you don't have to be the biggest to win, you just have to be the loudest. And in a world where sound is everything, the pilot whale is the ultimate ruler of the noise. The ocean is a world of rules, but rules were meant to be broken, and the pilot whale is the one holding the hammer. To dive deeper into this mystery, we must look at the biological makeup of these two titans. The orca, Orcanus orca, is actually the largest member of the dolphin family. Its brain is massive, second only to the sperm whale in absolute mass, and it is packed with complex folding that suggests emotional depth and analytical power far beyond our understanding. Their black and white patterns are more than just camouflage. They are a uniform of a global empire. Yet this empire is built on the stability of the environment. When that stability is rattled by the frantic, high-pitched pulses of a pilot whale, the orca's cognitive load becomes too heavy to manage. Contrast this with the long-finned pilot whale, Globicephala mellis. They are the stout defenders of the deep. Their bodies are built for endurance and deep diving, often plunging thousands of feet into the bathypelagic zone to chase squid. They are used to the crushing pressure in the absolute dark. Because their primary prey is small and elusive, their echolocation has evolved to be incredibly sensitive. When they turn that sensitivity toward an orca, they aren't just hunting, they are broadcasting. Socially, the pilot whale is an anomaly. While orcas form stable matrilineal pods, they are often spread out across miles of ocean to maximize their hunting range. Pilot whales, however, are almost never alone. When they exist in superpods, massive gatherings that function like a singular organism. When one pilot whale calls out in distress, the response is not a calculated risk assessment. It is a total, unyielding mobilization. It is this sheer mass of bodies that gives them the physical presence to intimidate a killer whale. This brings us to the concept of interspecific aggression. In most of the animal kingdom, animals of different species avoid each other unless one is eating the other. But the relationship between pilot whales and orcas is one of active, sustained harassment. It is spite in a biological sense, an expenditure of energy that has no immediate food reward, but serves a long-term defensive goal. By being a constant nuisance, the pilot whale essentially taxes the orca's existence. Consider the energy budget of an orca. To maintain its massive body and high intelligence, it needs a huge amount of calories. Hunting is a high-stakes game. If a pod of pilot whales disrupts a hunt, they aren't just making noise, they are starving the orca. Over time, orcas learn that the presence of pilot whales means a failed mission. This is classical conditioning on a species-wide scale. The sound of a pilot whale becomes synonymous with failure and frustration. In the waters of Norway and Iceland, where both species overlap frequently, the tension is palpable. Researchers using hydrophones have recorded the sudden shift in the ocean's mood when pilot whales arrive. The complex melodic songs of the orcas, used to coordinate their herding of herring, suddenly stop. It is replaced by the riot of the pilot whales. It is a hostile takeover of the airwaves. The physics of their scream is a masterpiece of evolution. By varying the pitch and frequency of their calls, pilot whales can create a wall of sound that mimics the return signals of an orca's own clicks. This creates false positives in the orca's brain. The orca thinks there is an obstacle where there is none, or a threat where there is only empty water. It is the biological equivalent of radar jamming used in modern electronic warfare. But why don't the orcas fight back? A single orca could easily kill a pilot whale in a one-on-one fight. The problem is that it's never one-on-one. Pilot whales operate on the principle of mutual defense. If an orca bites one, it will be swarmed by 50 others. For a predator that relies on its health to hunt, getting hit by a 3,000-pound pilot whale at high speed is a risk that simply isn't worth a single meal. This leads to a fascinating observation. The orcas that flee are often the transients, the mammal-eating specialists who are generally considered the most aggressive and dangerous of all orcas. Even these apex killers, who eat seals and porpoises for breakfast, find the collective madness of a pilot whale pod to be too much to handle. It suggests that the pilot whale's defense is universally effective across different orca cultures. We are also seeing evidence that pilot whales might be acoustic mimics. There is ongoing research into whether pilot whales can actually imitate the calls of the orcas they are stalking. If they can, it means they are not just making noise, they are sending fake news to the orca pod. They could be lure-calling them into unfavorable positions or simply confusing their internal communication lines. This relationship redefines our understanding of apex. Usually, we think of the apex predator as the one with the biggest teeth. But the pilot whale has introduced a new metric: societal resilience. Because they are more tightly knit and more willing to engage in high-risk mobbing, they have effectively demoted the orca in certain regions. The orca remains the king of the food chain, but the pilot whale is the king of the territory. As the Arctic ice melts and shipping lanes open, these interactions are expected to increase. The North Atlantic is becoming a crowded place. With more competition for dwindling fish stocks, the acoustic wars will only get louder. We are entering an era of marine history where the winner won't be the one who can bite the hardest, but the one who can keep their head while everyone else is screaming. The pilot whale's success is a testament to the power of the underdog. They are the proof that if you are organized enough, loud enough, and brave enough, you can force even the most terrifying monster to back down. They have turned the vast, open ocean into a neighborhood they patrol with an iron will. There is a certain beauty in this subversion of power. It reminds us that nature is not a static ladder, but a dynamic, ever-changing web of interactions. The orca may have the prestige, the size, and the history, but the pilot whale has the future. They have discovered the patch for the orca's dominance, and they are installing it across the Atlantic. For human observers, this serves as a humbling lesson. We often think we understand the hierarchy of the natural world. We put animals into neat boxes of predator and prey, but the pilot whale refuses to stay in its box. It is a glitch in our understanding of marine biology, a reminder that the deep sea still holds secrets that defy our logic. The shadowing behavior is perhaps the most chilling aspect. To be followed for days by a group of animals that you could technically kill, but choose not to because of the sheer annoyance they cause, is a unique form of torment. It is the death by 1,000 cuts strategy applied to the psyche of the ocean's greatest hunter. Eventually, this harassment leads to a range shift. Orcas have been seen moving into shallower waters or changing their migratory patterns specifically to avoid known pilot whale hotspots. This has a ripple effect on the entire ecosystem. Where the orcas go, the seals and fish must hide. Where the orcas leave, the ocean finds a new chaotic balance. The pilot whale's wall of sound also has implications for our own technology. Naval sonar often interferes with whale communication, but the pilot whale has been doing this naturally for eons. By studying how they jam the orca's sonar, we might learn more about the limits of acoustic perception and how to protect marine life from our own noise pollution. In the end, the story of the orca and the pilot whale is a story about the limits of power. No matter how strong you are, no matter how much of the world you control, there is always a counterforce. There is always a pilot whale waiting in the shadows to turn your strength into a weakness. The ocean remains the ultimate laboratory of evolution. It is a place where every advantage is eventually met with a challenge, and every king is eventually met with a rebel. The acoustic wars are just the latest chapter in a multi-million-year saga of survival. When we watch the footage of orcas fleeing, we shouldn't see it as a sign of weakness. We should see it as a sign of intelligence. The orca knows when it has been beaten. It knows when the noise is too much. It chooses to live to fight another day, leaving the field to the screaming shadows. And so the pilot whale continues its patrol. It is the unsung hero of its own story, the defender of the pod, Awana, and the ghost in the sonar. It is the animal that proved that the killer whale isn't the only one who can kill a mood, a hunt, or a legacy. As we continue to explore the deep, we must keep our ears open. The loudest sounds aren't always the most important, but in the case of the pilot whale, they are the sound of a changing tide. They are the sound of a world where the rules are being rewritten in real time. The abyss is not just a place of silence and death. It is a place of strategy, culture, and defiance. It is a place where a bulbous dolphin can look at a 6-ton killer and say, "Not today." We are only just beginning to decode the language of these battles. Each click, each whistle, and each scream is a piece of a puzzle that we are decades away from solving. But the message is clear. The king is no longer alone in the void. So, the next time you look at the slate-gray waters of the North Sea, remember the war beneath the waves, remember the king, and remember the one who made him run. Remember the pilot whale. The ocean is a world of rigid, unforgiving rules. But as we have learned, even the most absolute rules have a breaking point, and the pilot whale is the one holding the hammer. Check out our video on the deep sea giants. The void is deep, and we've only just scratched the surface.